This is the old camp office.
And this is where everyone from the logging camps would usually come in and check with the main man here to register in, because people came from all over the place to work on these logging camps. So that was one way of getting a name and trying to keep track of everybody. A lot of people come in that didn't make it out.
It didn't make it out from,
Died.
from logging?
Sickness, logging, whatever, and they would bury them right out of the river. Because we would never know where they were all from and not too much detail about them. Of course, if there was some detail about them, it could be known. We have a lot of people out there that are buried on our banks of the river. So it was a pretty dangerous job, and this guy here tried his best to keep a track of everything and ordering stuff, and kind of like the main man of the camp. So we'll go in and take a look at his stuff.
Okay.
I always try to keep up on a safe keep of the buildings all the time, and that way more people can just keep coming every year. We got people that come from all over the world here.
They come from all over the world?
Every day is a new day. So they call me and I'll take us all over because, you know, what's going on and everything. So.
I know my friend's cousin came from Norway.
Really?
And they were touring around, and I said, well, come on up. They were coming from Pennsylvania. I said, come on up, I'll show you the Menominee Reservation. And we stopped in, and Stan Latender had given
cool.
a little tour and talked about it.
Cool. He knows a lot.
So that was so cool that they came from so far away.
Excuse me.
Good. We just had some from Alaska. And let's see, where was these? I can't remember, but just so interesting, you know. I'm interested about them, they're interested about us, and like a couple of weeks ago it was all tore up and everyone was working on. We were able to get to them because I didn't want someone to say, oh, I had my chance, but they were down, or, you know, and I was like, oh, come on, we can weave through them ladders and whatever. So off we went, and they were so happy. Next thing you know, they just leave, and another pack comes in from, I don't even know where them ones from far away too, and they're like, well, this is our first stop. I was like, oh wow, then get turned away. No, that can't happen. Yeah. Come on, let's go back up. But like I said, we'll look at a lot of stuff, and I can, mostly mine field of studies is in there, but I always try to include this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I really don't know everything, but we'll get to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hang on to that key now. Okay, mouse, if you're in there, it's time to get out.
Oh, that moth. Wow.
Wow, he's fat, eh? Oh, look at that.
It's huge.
Big. And I didn't get to tell him too, guys. The only thing that's gonna get me is a snake or a mouse, so I might have a heart attack. So just try to jump in front of that mouse. So I don't know what he does, but he hits the building and he turns around with something, and I thought it was a mouse, and jumped 5 feet and almost crawled over and about to get out. Okay, lights on and action.
Oh, wow. This is neat.
That's the light, okay.
Okay, there's a sign here.
This is a sign of our Menominee Mills, one of their boiler systems that they had.
There's an old bedpan here, too.
Huh?
An old bedpan.
Yeah.
Double-deck bed.
Yeah, double-decker there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are brought in, stuff like this now. Since they've been here, but a lot of these ones down here, what that's all about, I'll try to get back around there. These are the stamps that the mill made.
Uh-huh.
And these are like when the logs are going down. And down the river, when they're getting ready to go, they mark them. You know what kind of log it is, everything about that log. And it will be marked. So if other people's logs get jammed up along the river, we were able to go there and be able to tell by whatever stamp they had on. So they were called log marking hangers. And this is probably a sample of some of them been marked by them, by the tops. Mm-hmm. And that's the way they were able to tell. They all got all kinds of different markings on them. Like this one.
Yeah, it's
And then-
like 2 arrows.
Yeah, then each one of them had a meaning, telling what kind of tree it was. These are their, and it's called the end marks. So if they were going to ask what kind of logs are coming down, they'll say, well, check the end marks. And they would check on them, so they all knew, but they even had side marks. They could stamp them in on the side, so pretty much a lot of our stuff was accountable that was going down that river. And over here some more log markings, some more stamps, all kinds of. And as we go through here in the logging museum, you're gonna see machinery and stuff down there that could actually make these stamps. So some of them also are made here. So we're and then these are some of the stuff that were probably sold here. The main guy would come in and you would check in with him, his little desk and his paperwork. He'd get you going. You'd pick up probably your tobacco products if you needed tobacco. Get ready to head right on out to the camp. Of course, your lanterns, land lookers, compasses. People come in to look at the land right away to find their whereabouts. And this is the man that donated all these things to us. These things came from, I can't even think of his name right now. I'll remember it and get back.
He looks a little bit like my dad.
Does he?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
But he was getting old. He owned a Milwaukee brewery company also.
Oh, yeah?
And he donated this stuff here.
Oh, neat.
So that was really nice of him.
Oh, what's this here? Wow. Old railroad picture.
That's an old railroad track going back up into the camps. You can see how big the trees are back in them days. There's some people working out there already. Because when they would go into the camps, they wouldn't come out till, till the ground broke and they could get back out of there. So a lot of the women, in fact, everyone that their husbands went into the camp, they were already knew they were going to get pregnant when their men came home because they were gone all that time. So usually that's when that happened. And then they had women during the war, when the men had to leave, they worked in the mill at the Neopet Enterprise. They took over their jobs while they went off into the military. So everyone had to take a hand in something. It was a lot of hard work. But it was all about the trees. I'm trying to think of where this man is from now. I'll think of it again. But a lot of these pictures are our people. Some of the people you'll see in our pictures as we go through here might be some of his people. As you can tell, because the darker they are, the Menominee, you can tell the Menominee right away. And then it's like every other day or maybe month, someone will come by and say, gee, I got this old object, I don't know what it is. And they bring it in and we find out what it is, and it's something with the logging camp. And they'll donate it because they don't know anything about it. Then we look it up and find out what it's all about. And if it's found here, they'll give it to us. We don't have money to buy anything, but we get a lot of donations from other places that also had camps like us too. So these are some of the things that they use to get down in the rivers, these ice cocks. You had to use these as the ice is all jammed up also. The logs could go under and get stuck. So there's every way you could fall in there and either get hurt or never come back up. There was always that chance that people had to pray all the time and hope that wouldn't happen, because like I said, there was loggers that were didn't make it home. And if this guy didn't check them in, then we wouldn't know about them. And this is his little wash stand, everything, all the basics, pail water, your wash pan and rinse, and pretty much set for the day. Take a sponge bath. These here are you could measure your logs. They measured them everything was marked and there was a reason, so they would know whose it is. Because we were competing with other people that were shipping stuff down the Fox also, but we had it going pretty good. And this is basically how the camp looks. You hear some more markers. Mark that log. You know, you take it on the edge of that log and mark the width of it. And mark the widths, different rulers. Keep a track of the width. Of course, they're going to mark stuff like that and keep them going. So this guy had his little bunk here. And this is where he basically stayed to. And this was his whole job to get everyone checked in, get their equipment, all the stuff about them. Got the compasses. That's a very, very old compass there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that one. And then they cut some of these, they're growths that were in the logs. Some people would carve them out and when they're smaller and make rattles out of them and different, different ceremony stuff. But these ones I don't know actually where they came out of. More than likely here. And I know if they were diseased, they wouldn't be in there, so this is just the way they look. And that big one right there. I didn't see that one either. I don't come out here too much. The tally board, that's all about marking them logs again, measuring them. You can see how big some of them logs must have been, the markings on each edge of here, right in the middle. So my dad, Joe Slide, he was on the last camp, on the last river drive they call it. And he came down that river with everybody else. So when he was on that last camp, his job was, he was a cook. So he talked a lot about his cooking and all of that to me, and I often wondered when I got older why he knew how to cook so good. So he didn't tell me everything about it. He just talked about some of his military days and some of the stuff he did. And then when this logging camp came here, he was like the second person to move in here and run it. Then that's when I finally realized he knew everything about it. So he's also on a videotape here somewhere in the museum, and he talks about his last river drive, all the occasions out there, and he was very young then, so we had a lot of interesting stories. So that one I know a little bit out to the cook shanty. Of course, they got their coats and everything made from the woods, whatever out there, like them. They were able to do that kind of work right out there and keep up. And a lot of them, you'll see these. We don't have a specific, well, we actually call that the bunkhouse over there, and then that's the reason for these. The bunks went over there, so we'll go check that out. Whatever they needed to get in camps. And they made their snowshoes here. I don't know which building, we look at the stuff, we could figure out which one even made them down there. So every building is so unique in its own purpose, There's stuff outside too, but
When is that? What time?
September, usually in September we start, in August. We go up on a river, Rice Bed Road, that's up in the open. That's where we first started ricing. Started out all the pigs, and then we bring it out here, so that was really good about that. This is over here, this is our, when we do our ricing, when we do it, and this is one of the processes we work on over here. It's the big iron steel pots. We put the rice right in, and it's called the parching process. You stir the rice so that it pops. You don't mix nothing in there with it. It's called parching. And once it pops, it's then broken that shaft and popped that. So that when the kids dance on it, they break them shafts, and that's when the winnowing is next, and throw it up in the air. if you ever see pictures, kids doing that lapping, like, then the wind will take off the shaft and the rest of the part, so then the rice is on the bottom. But then it's up to them too to clean the rest of it, because not all of it all comes off, you know. And the first time we did it, they're like, oh yeah, that's our name now, perch right up, you're cleaning on there. And we have a different kind of rice than up north. Theirs are really long, ours are short. But it's all really good, everybody's rice. So that's what we do, the parching. That's a smoker over there they smoke the sturgeon. This year we had smoked sturgeon. Oh, it was good. Did you like it? That's the first time I ate it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Oh, at the powwow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that's the first time I was scared of that, because I'm like, where are these coming from, and will it test me? But no, they're tested and everything when they come up here, you know, so they don't have what you think they have. But I don't know, thinking they're coming from down there, that's the first stop. This here was a canoe that was pulled out of, I think, Upper Bass, up in that way. Wow. My ex-Virgil Barnes. It was before I was pregnant, or I was going fishing up there, and one morning he woke up and he's like, told his brother, we're going to get that, whatever that duck is sitting on. I was like, what duck is it? Every time we go fishing, there's this duck, and he's sitting right out there, right at the tip. I don't know which end it was on. He was sitting just enough to stand up, so Barnes and his brothers went out there the next day, and oh yeah, they had one time trying to drag this out. So that was like 40 years ago, and they estimated it over 500 years old.
Wow.
So they said, well, it's yours, you can have it. And I'm like, oh yeah, so they had it out in front of Sissy Bug's house in Zor for a while. So you gotta do something with that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So it was just before the museum got opened up here. And this could have been, you know, there's ones that are probably older down there, and the ones down there have no nails.
Oh,
and this one, we got the nails, so I just think that's still over 550 years ago, and still we had these.
Wow.
So, but the other ones that we obviously don't have, and it's called a dugout.
Did they paint it red?
Yeah,
They had it painted red?
Someone must have painted, or maybe they sprayed that stuff on it for preserving it or something. I don't know what that red is from. You never do nothing once they come in here.
Well, look, they had.
The color of this tree too. You know what? I never did ask what kind of wood this is.
There's like, look at that. There's a black and white up on the top here stripe.
Mm-hmm.
They have it on both ends too, so it probably was
right.
painted red.
Painted.
There's wouldn't doubt it if there was some yellow on here too.
Yeah.
You see where it broke away here. This would just where
Or maybe
this is
these guys try to paste it together. Man, they could have tooled them nails. I don't know. All I know is it was a dugout here. Then there was a newspaper clipping of them Barnes brothers, and all three of them. I think Jimmy's the one alive yet, and he finally saw give it to the tribe after his two brothers passed on. So they put it wherever. So it's as far as we got it, enough to keep it out of the rain under there. But as you'll see, it's so crowded in these ones, there's hardly any room left to put anything. All the out daylight in the swamp. Well, that made everybody wake up, so this had to be their sleeping place. Away from sleeping and straight to the eat and out to the farm. Oh, what's this going on?
oh, is that some kind of repair
Alright,
something in
wherever
there?
you are, I gotta come out.
Looking for mice.
Right here. Oh my, they did have something going on out
Oh, look at those chairs. Whoa.
there. Yeah. We'll come on in and we'll talk about the chairs.
Leave it to me. I'm an antique dealer, you know, and I keep saying I'm going to get out of it, and then I see stuff. I go, whoa.
Yeah. These were boarding schools were here, and then we had one right in the front of the Keshena down here by the St. Michael's Church. That's where these came from. And I remember going over there when I was probably 6 or 7, And that's because my mother's twin lived right across the road, and they were Catholic and church the whole bit. So we had to go to the nun's house, and you never got to get in the nun's house, you know. And so we got in there and we got to looking at their stuff, and I was really amazed. Of course, you just had to sit and look. And that's what they made their stuff out of, was all the spools. These are made of spools from the thread.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they sewed all the kids' clothes there. Everything was made right there. And they didn't come in with their other clothes. They came in with what they had on. And I remember seeing these in there. Oh God, that's over 55 years ago now. I'm gonna have a birthday at the end of the month. I don't want to think about it, but I'm gonna be 61. And then of course we'll start out with these ones. These were the cant hooks, cants. That's what they call them, logs or whatever when they cut them down. And as you can see, this would grip right into that log. So if they had a jam pile up, like such as like here, you see, well, this isn't a pile up, you'll see them on the other pictures. But when they get all jammed up, you'll see this guy out here. That's probably more than likely what he's doing with a cant, pushing some back. Some have to come forward depending on if this is all one species or if they're going to go with one brand. He would be out there to select them. And this one up here is in Neopet, I'm positive. The Neopet pine, and that's white pine, 1921. So all of this is white pine, and that's one of our very, very important species here. They went over here, they had this was the cold pond, and then inside of here they had a hot pond. So these logs would actually come out, and one would go in. Our logging trucks came right up here. So we had two ponds going. Yeah, that's Neopet, wow. And now you don't have no railroad tracks in there no more. Back here they would load up logs, even on railroads, whatever way of transportation we had getting it out, it would come out of there. And then right back in here, right on the other side of this, was a huge barn, and that's where we kept all the horses. And my grandfather, Bart Chevalier, worked in there, and he stayed there the whole time. He had to keep them horses' hoofs all ready to go, get them ready for this logging camp. Everyone had to be tip top to get out there and start working, because yeah, it's hard work. You can't be disabled or sick out there. So my grandpa would get all the horses ready to go and keep up on their feet and shots and whatever had to be done to them. Then he would ship them out. They'd come get them, and they had huge horses in them days. They had to be called straight up work horses, because they were just as huge as these logs were, I swear. Yeah, this is right up that White City Hill. Right where this hill is, that's the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where that is right there.
Oh, wow. It's all right across the street from there, yeah. And this is what it used to look like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. I see now what you're talking about, yeah. There's a big road there now.
Yeah, very big
Highway
road.
47.
In fact, it comes right through here, right in the back of these.
Uh-huh.
Right through here, this is going up that hill towards the church.
And then,
Right in the back, behind
yeah.
here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they took this down, and that was one way of transporting them around.
pretty neat bridge. Or is that a dam?
That's a bridge, and it's a river that goes right to her. It's Swear River. But these logs didn't go down that river. That was whatever you call it.
Is that why he was
Post
pushing
or
them back
whatever.
this way? Because they're coming this way.
And then they have these, what are they called now? What did we call them? Booms, we call them when we were younger. They would have booms, great big logs like this, that they put strictly out there to keep them in certain areas, like pine over here, whatever other kind of species they were cutting. And these guys would walk them booms even. to go out there and do this kind of work. But as you can see, I can't see no booms here. He's already on that log with that cant trying to grab that log. Now these are the kind of logs that you had to get on to save yourself, because they start burling, and once they start rolling, you're going like this one way and then it goes back the other way, so you gotta because you will die, you will fall and hit your head. And there's just something about these logs, if like we were burling, you call it, and you're going like that, and if you fell here, them logs close in on you. So when you're coming up to look, then you gotta go like this and try to, you know, separate your way to come out of there. And when them kids didn't know how to swim, we had to dive under there, push them logs and keep pushing so they could get a breath of air, just enough to get them out of the way and get them closer to the water. And then it became real dangerous after that. So we'd be down there and we'd stop a lot of tourists. Of course, they'd want to see us burl the logs, and we'd do that. But when they'd want to come out there and try it, it was always no, because no, if you didn't know, just like him, if you didn't know how to do that, you wouldn't be able to. And my girlfriend showed me that she just polished her white shoes, and she was from way up on towards the end of town where Colleen lives, and I was up on this town. Well, of course I know this town because of the river. Them kids back then couldn't come this way by the river. You had to stay on your own side of town. And so I told my girlfriend, come on, we'll go burl some logs. And she was like, burl? Oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's right, you don't know how. Well, I should have asked her if she knew how to swim when we first got there, and I didn't ask her. So out there we went to burl a log, and she fell under there, and I had to dig her out of there, push the log, separate, and pull her out. Paste her to the log that I just burled so that she could grab on. But once she grabbed on, she didn't know what she had to do, stand up on and find a big log, stand up and run, so she could have died. And after I got her out there, I looked back and all I could see was the water full of white shoe polish from her shoes, and I was like, wow, you know, that scared me then. It was if you didn't know how to swim or to do that, I would go with you no more out there, because it's just depending on what you learned about it. And of course my father worked right over here, and I wasn't even supposed to be doing all of that over here. That was the first thing, was don't you come by them logs, and don't you go, and don't you, and there I was, right over there. But I lived back up here, and I'd run home before he came at noontime, make it look like I was all
And you'd be out there running
in
on the
check.
logs and stuff, and
I
then
knew he
ditch
had to
him when he
know,
came
because
around.
he'd see what I had on, you know, and that's where everybody went, you know, it was the biggest thing in town to go swimming. Just like now the kids head up there like 8 o'clock when it's hot, the whole pack coming right through town. No towels, no, not just headed to the river. Oh,
We
yeah.
saw some yesterday.
Yeah, that's where it's at.